Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So, a little bit darker in the reloading setup today. We've got Huntsville Utilities out front. They're doing some upgrades over here to the utilities. Ton of subdivisions being built all around, and so they're having to go through and upgrade some of the utilities. And of course, right in the middle of me, on a work call, on a Zoom call, on my laptop, they kill the power, normally they'll at least ring the doorbell and, be nice enough to say, hey, we're going to kill your power. I mean, it's not like they have to get my permission. They got to get their work done, so they're just going to cut it no matter what. But normally they at least give me a heads up. But today they didn't. They were like, hey, without warning, boom, my internet drops. And I'm like, man, what in the world? So I'm looking around, trying to reconnect, won't connect. I'm like, all right, what's going on with this? And I look over, and of course, there's no power going to the oven. And I'm like, all right, looks like we have lost power. Looked out front. Of course, there's Huntsville Utilities trucks lined up all down the road. So they're doing some upgrades. So I figured, might as well do a video where you don't need power, right? When it comes to certain things in the reloading world. Like my little electronic scale here, that needs power. Well, guess what? We ain't got any. Case prep, that needs power. We ain't got any. So, but there's plenty of things you can do. You can pretty much your entire reloading setup. You could get by without power if you had. I've got a little. I don't think I have it out here, but this one obviously requires power. But I've got a little battery operated digital scale that I could use. I've got my powder measure, that I can throw. You can use a beam scale, all that. None of that requires electricity. So, that's kind of the benefit that, if you want to have those as a backup system in times where, hey, you don't have any power, you don't really have anything else to do, might as well get some loading done. It's not a bad idea. Keep that in the back of your mind. Things you don't really think about when you're getting into reloading, that's like way on down the line kind of stuff. But there is something. So I did find this out the other day. I tried to make a 357 Magnum video, and I wound up just not even posting the video. I wound up just deleting it. I'm going to go back, remake it, mostly because of this guy right here. I spilled some powder all over the place in my loading block, but I did not realize it until after the fact. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I was also doing some 350 Legend stuff, but we're going to be pulling bullets. That's why I have these guys right here. I've got 6 of these I need to pull. That's BLC2 powder, and I don't care to lose the powder because it's been garbage. I got hang fires, which is why I'm pulling them. So I went to load some 357 Magnum. And if you look, so these lineman loading blocks, these bleacher style loading blocks are the best in my opinion in terms of loading trays. And the reason for that is you can't get this mixed up. If you have just a flat, something like this. If you have something like this, I mean, of course this has lineman on the front, so that helps. But if you have just a generic, janky, universal, loading block, and you're not really paying too much attention to it, if you get that thing turned around for whatever reason, right, you got the whole thing full, you've got all 50 rounds in there, and then all of a sudden it gets rotated for whatever reason. You have no idea why, but all of a sudden you turn it or whatever, and then you're like, all right, was I loading this way? Was I loading that way? How was I dumping my charges? And so it can be, not that it would ever happen, but it's a possibility, right? So with these, you turn this sucker around, hey, that don't look right. So that's kind of why I like them, where there's no confusion whatsoever. If you're loading left to right, that's typically how I load. Sometimes I'll work right to left, like Hebrew, writing right to left. Work left to right for the most part. And so it's just really easy to know, hey, I'm always going to be good to go. I'm not going to get mixed up and flip my tray around and then forget what was what and all that. But The problem with these guys, and I've already modified this funnel, now it sits good, right? It sits down on the case mouth. It can't go any lower, so it has hit the case mouth. The problem with this guy right out of the package is, with 357 Magnum, I don't know about 38 Special, I'm assuming it's the exact same way. This bottom portion of the funnel was too long. So, I mean, you can even tell. I cut it with a Dremel, so I mean, it's all janky, but it got the job done. It was so long that it was actually coming down and contacting the bleacher block, and it would allow the funnel to sit up just enough to where it wasn't making good contact with the case mouth. And so I didn't even realize it. I thought I was good to go. So I was dumping powder for like the first three cases. I just wasn't really even paying attention. I was trying to make the video and wasn't really focusing on what I was doing. And I came back and I'm going to seat the bullet, and I pulled the case out and I'm like, why is there powder down in the block? And I'm looking, there's powder, and I'm like, all right, what's going on? And so I did that for the first 3 charges. So then I was like, oh, what's up with this? And so I looked and I was like, that's why. So if you get one of these, just kind of FYI, you're gonna have to modify, or at least that's what I did. A little modification, just grab the Dremel, you know, with a little cut off wheel. Real quick, just cut that off, cut part of the end off. Now it works like a champ. So there you go. Quick tip. That's your Monday morning quick tip for all you reloaders out there, especially the new folks. If you're just getting into reloading, and you're buying some stuff, and maybe you're wanting to get in 357 Magnum or something along those lines. I probably need to get different trays for pistol stuff anyway. But again, I really like these trays and the orientation, and you can't really mess that up. So I like that quite a bit. But yeah, so these are 6.5 Creedmoor. Trying to work up a hunting load with these guys. 120 grain Nosler ballistic tips. These things are pretty hard to find, basically like Spear Gold Dots. You know, these are hard to come by. And so last time they came in stock, I think I picked up a couple boxes. And so basically I was just gonna work up some velocity tests, velocity/pressure tests. We're using, this is the Federal Premium, the gold medal brass. It's all right. Primer pockets aren't as nice as Starline or Lapua, but it's okay. So I was going to try some BLC2 because our 6.5 Creedmoor, the Savage 110 Tactical that I picked up from Mr. Big Guns over in Huntsville, it shoots lights out. I mean, you guys have seen some of the ridiculous groups over the course of time that I've been able to shoot with that rifle, in multiple powders, multiple bullet weights, you know, multiple charge weights. It doesn't matter, right? The thing shoots. It shoots really well no matter what we feed through it. Typically, if you have a decent powder, it just shoots really well. And so I've been extremely pleased with it. I'm pretty sure it's because I bought it from Matt over at Mr. Big Guns. I'm almost positive that's why it shoots so well. I think if you try to buy it anywhere else, it's just not going to shoot as good. So y'all make sure you go buy it from those guys. So we were going to try. We're like, all right, well, let's try the 120s with BLC2, which is a powder that Johnny's reloading bench can't stand. He hates it. He's never had good luck with it. I've never really tried it in anything. I had a pound sitting around forever, and so I was going to give it a shot in this. Well, I loaded up 10 rounds, shot 4, had a couple of hang fires, and I'm like, all right, I'm just not even going to fool with it. I'm not going to fool with it. I've got other powders that are way better options for 6.5 Creedmoor, so we're just going to pull them and go from there. So today is a good day for that kind of stuff because I don't have power. So you don't need power to pull bullets. But this is, I don't necessarily want to damage the bullet though. One of the best things, I should have done this before I turned the camera on. One of the best ways that I have found to not damage your bullets when you're trying to pull them with one of these kinetic pullers or impact pullers is just tear you off some paper towel, piece of paper towel. Get this guy to go down in there. Try and do all this one-handed. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So just get that down in there. There we go. All right, so now you got a piece of paper towel shoved down in there, and then you just pull your bullet. All right, I'm actually going to switch hands. Yeah, make sure I'm not covering up the camera. There we go. And you can see that bullet's already moved. You can see a little bit shinier portion of the bullet there toward the mouth of the case. So there you go. A few hits and we're out. And that doesn't damage the bullet tip. And that's one of the big things, you know, when you're pulling bullets and you want to actually save the bullet, because again, these things are hard to find. That has been the best option for me that I've come up with. So give that a try if you're wanting to save your bullets. And then of course you would just unscrew that, pull the case out, and then just dump it into a pan. Normally I just dump it into like a pan or something like that. And you can save the powder that way if you really want to. This is BLC2. I don't really want to save this powder. I probably will anyway, but I just don't know of any other use I'm gonna have for it. So that's it. Those are a couple of things. You know, when you don't have power, there you go. So be thinking about that if you're into reloading. You know, think of ways that in case something like this did happen and you really don't have anything else to do, what can you do in your reloading setup? You know, some brass prep. Can you do you have the tools to do brass prep by hand? If you don't, maybe think about getting some of that. Maybe a backup scale, a beam scale would be perfect in this case, and then a little pocket scale, a little digital pocket scale, battery operated would be great as well. And then you'd still be able to rock and roll even without power. So that's it. That's all. Also, some powder just dropped over at Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. They posted on their Facebook page, and I've already sent it out to some of my buddies. But man, if you're looking for Stay Ball 6.5, I think they got a couple of 8-pounders in stock. They had several 1-pound containers, 8-pounder of H4350, several 1-pound containers. I mean, they got a decent amount. I think he got in a couple 100 pounds of powder from this last shipment. So y'all go hit up those guys now. Yeah, the vultures are descending, so y'all better hurry. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time with some actual reloading content or range footage. So we'll see you next time.